Hello everybody and welcome to CSTEP podcasts. The topic of today's podcast is CSTEP's work in climate change adaptation, and it is being delivered by Debapriya Das. Debapriya Das is a senior research economist at the Center for Study of Science, Technology and Policy, CSTEP. She completed her bachelor's degree in economics from Jadavpur University, Kolkata in 2010 and then went on to doing her master's in economics from the Indira Gandhi Institute of Development Research, Mumbai, which she completed in 2012. Her core competencies lie in econometric analysis and welfare economics. She has to her credit publications on topics varying from the need for nuclear power in India to a study of slums in Bangalore in prestigious publications like The Hindu and Deccan Herald. Debapriya Das has been working with CSTEP for almost 2 years and is presently working on issues related to the Indian energy scenario and climate change adaptation.
Climate change adaptation is an entirely new domain for CSTEP. While we have worked extensively on climate change mitigation, CSTEP has not had an opportunity to work on adaptation. But this was only till last year when CSTEP decided to apply for the career grant by IDRC DFID. The career grant was a collaborative adaptive research in Asia and Africa. Although we were not among one of the awardees, but we did make it to the final round of the highly competitive selection process. Nevertheless, the 6-month period of writing the proposal was an immense learning experience for CSTEP. The study areas were the deltas in Bangladesh, Nigeria and India. The objective envisaged by CSTEP was to serve the stakeholders with evidence-based research and implement appropriate adaptation strategies to serve the most vulnerable and the poorest people in these deltas. South Asia is home to some of the world's most poorest population, and they are likely to face the impact of climate change. Many countries are already facing its impact and have realized that mitigation is needed to reduce the long-term warming trends along with adaptation and resilience strategies. There is an immense need for demand-driven research in this arena of work, and with this objective, CSTEP has continued its work in the adaptation domain. CSTEP recently started working on its first climate change adaptation project titled Climate Change Adaptation in South Asia. This is a joint project by 3 think tank initiative grantee institutions, Public Affairs Centers, Center for Science, Technology and Policy, and ISET Nepal. All the 3 institutions expertises in very different fields, and it's very interesting to see how the integration of these domains happen. CSTEP, for instance, works on modeling, simulation, economic and policy analysis of climate change. PAC specializes in bottom-up approach to governance with tools such as climate change scorecards. ISET Nepal has developed methods on vulnerability assessment and linkages of climate change adaptation and resilience to food security and policy process. This partnership thus builds on interdisciplinary subjects involving natural and social science and supported by on-ground experience that each organization brings. So with the help of this study, what are we achieving? So we want to improve our knowledge in climate change in these areas. As I mentioned, the area of study is the Kaveri Delta in Tamil Nadu and the central region of Nepal. So going back, what do we want to achieve by this study? Improve knowledge in climate change, develop an interdisciplinary framework towards adaptation and vulnerability assessment, mostly thriving towards a holistic way of determining vulnerability and adaptation strategies, which involves a combination of science and social science. Also develop robust decision-making framework to tackle the uncertainties related to climate change. Climate change adaptation requires a close engagement of stakeholders and policymakers. At every stage of adaptation work, there has to be an engagement of the people who are directly affected by this. So it's very important to know the people's perception on climate change and how it impacts their livelihoods and how they would like to make themselves more resilient towards the change. So this project will conduct pilot studies in selected areas of Kaveri and Kaveri Delta in Tamil Nadu and Nepal. There will be an assessment of people's perception on climate change and vulnerability assessment. We will be assessing the exposure and the sensitivity of people towards climate change, and these will be measured and ranked in these areas. The vulnerability assessment will have indicators such as water resources, agriculture, environment, ecology, household assets, livelihood, and social structure and governance. Historical climate information and future climate impacts will be studied in Kaveri Delta and Nepal, and these will be synthesized to local level as well. WEEP, which is a water evaluation and planning tool, will be used to assess the current water supply and demand scenario in Tamil Nadu and Nepal. These will be done at a relevant watershed scale and project the reference scenario until 2050. Decision analysis for research and planning, that one which is developed by CSTEP, will be used to visualize the modeling results on climate and hydrological impacts. DARPAN facilitates engagement of stakeholders at every level and so that they can understand vulnerability and adaptation strategies. The phenomenal growth of computing power enables modeling and analyzing complex systems. DARPAN has an interactive GIS-enabled system built using intense graphic technology, where the core component is a series of screens that can display panoramic computer graphics. The visual software information systems requires data which mostly deal with complex systems, system dynamics, geoinformation systems, data mining, and statistical analysis. DARPAN facilitates a connection among researchers, policymakers, vulnerable communities, and provides an opportunity or maybe a platform for them to have a dialogue about the impact of any public policy decision. The discussion may itself not end up into actions, but it improves governance in a phased manner. CSTEP has used DARPAN to model several problems such as energy infrastructure planning, large-scale wind power development, land resources, transmission grid planning, emergency and disaster management. In this project, DARPAN will help visualize vulnerability with respect to climate change in the areas selected. Since CSTEP is taking its first few steps towards climate change adaptation, this study will help us assess our capabilities and capacities in this domain, and also it will make us understand the limitations and possibilities in the adaptation domain. This is a very good platform to test the tools in which the three institutions are using, like the climate change scorecard, which the Public Affairs Center will be using, the Shared Learning Dialogue by ISET Nepal, and DARPAN by CSTEP. Finally, I think in the end, CSTEP envisages a continuous engagement with policymakers and stakeholders and would like to build capacity in network of institutions and professionals working in climate adaptation domain. Thank you.